was my brother, my older brother. He taught me how to read, which opened my mind up to different wonders of life, which I passed this tradition on to my grandkids. I see how it had expanded their character, their spirit, and their personalities.
What inspired me about reading is that I come from a family of older siblings who was 8 and 9 years older than I was. And they would always spell everything so I would not know what they were talking about. So I got a dictionary and I would write down whatever they spelled in order to understand what they were talking about. So that inspired me to read, to put sentences together, and also inspired me the importance of not only being able to know words, but how to form sentences.
The place that demonstrated the power of reading for me would have to be the elementary school that I teach at. Starting out as a parapro and watching kids that are faced with different challenges come in and be able to start reading or become beginner readers is just an amazing feeling. So in my classroom, that's my goal, is to make sure that my students become beginner readers ready for kindergarten.
I would have to say a person that inspired me was my grandmother. I didn't like to read like most boys in my middle school years. However, she kind of pressed the issue for me to read and not just do sports, and I'm forever grateful for her for doing that. And I think that's allowed me to carry on a love of reading to my children and also to my students.
I was inspired as a reader by my mom. My earliest memories are of her sitting in the rocking chair, rocking me and reading to me from a Mother Goose book that was about this thick. She told me later that she would try to skip pages because she got tired of reading, and I would say, "No, Mommy, you skip whatever." Later, I remember in church with the hymnal, and she showed me how you follow with your finger to do the different verses and follow the words. I honestly think that's a large part of how I learned to read. Now I'm a federal programs director and an assistant superintendent, and we have the L4GA grant, and so we are trying to teach parents and of course remind our pre-K and kindergarten teachers of how important those nursery rhymes are and how those early literacy strategies are the foundation of learning to read.
What inspired me was when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, my oldest sister had to go to reading camp, so my mom put all 4 girls in reading camp. And what do I do now to make reading fun? I dress up in costumes of our characters and make different items to go with our characters in our books.
Reading in my life has been pretty much directed from a very caring and loving mother. She was a single parent and she taught. I guess I received some of those genes, and so I saw my mother read daily. I saw the power of reading and education, and it inspired me to become an educator. I live in a rural part of the state that suffers from intergenerational poverty, and the power of education and literacy in our homes and in our schools is of the utmost importance. So I've dedicated my life to improving literacy outcomes for children in rural systems and in high poverty systems.
I was graced and blessed miraculously to have one of the few female African American teachers for kindergarten in the New York City Board of Education system. In that classroom, I developed my lifelong love of learning. The excitement about participating in all of those organized learning activities, and I just absolutely loved school. I ended up going to Board of Regent meetings with my kindergarten teacher in the 80s. Mrs. Douglas had a lifelong impact on me.
From my earliest memories, literacy was a part of my life. I can remember my mother reading to me from a very young age. She was a librarian, and it's not a coincidence that I became one too. My whole life's work is about sharing that love of literacy I felt as a child with all the students in my school district. I really want to make a change by teaching them that reading can be something you fall in love with.